Warzones Assault Attack, a massive DLC-sized add-on for Warzones 2015. In this video tutorial, we'll explore some of Warzone's Assault Attack features, accessible via the mod configuration menu. Upon successful installation, you'll find a WZAA Assault Attack menu item within your MCM. Within that are the general options. Let's start with cannons. In every WZ and Civil War battle exists the potential for siege cannons. Via the MCM, you can adjust the ratio at which the cannons will spawn. In this example, I've set cannon spawns to 0 and fast travel to Whiterun Plains, the largest war zone in the Warzones mod. As you can see on that hill, there is nothing. This hill also has nothing. Returning to our MCM, I'm now adjusting the cannon spawns to 1. Since this setting is a ratio, that means a 1-to-1 chance of cannons appearing, and as you can see, there's one on that same hill. For example, setting the MCM to 2, you will have a 1 in 2 chance that this cannon will spawn. The second hill also has a cannon. Cannons are controlled by cannon keepers. If this NPC is killed, the cannon will stop firing and a plume of smoke will appear atop it. Otherwise, cannons fire on a random timed looping cycle and will eventually run out of ammunition. Placed throughout every Warzone and Civil War battle are random landmines. Standing on one will yield a predictable result of you blowing up. This MCM is also a ratio. Setting them to 1 will enable all landmines in all WZs. Setting it to 2 will give you a 1 in 2 chance of landmines being enabled. Setting it to 0 will disable all landmines. But why would you want that? New outposts and camps are placed throughout Skyrim to aid each faction in the Civil War. Both are heavily guarded and fortified, and both can contain useful information and/or loot. Via the MCM, you may adjust the percentage at which they may appear. Setting this to 0 disables them entirely. In this example, I've enabled camps and outposts. I've then fast traveled to North Brittleshin Pass, where I know there's an outpost over the hill. As you can see, there's an outpost. As we approach this outpost, we'll notice that it is populated. In this case, it appears to be populated by the Imperials. As a Civil War neutral player, they don't take kindly to my presence. What a bunch of dicks. I again load a game, fast travel to North Brittleshin Pass, and without changing anything, I go over the hill, see the outpost, and discover that it is populated by Stormcloaks who are equally displeased to see me. It is also possible that you'll happen upon a camp or an outpost that is currently being fought for by both factions. Returning to our MCM, I now disable camps and outposts. I return to North Brittleshin Pass, come over this damn hill, and the outpost is gone. This also illustrates the random enabling feature of both camps and outposts, in that they will not always appear in the same place. Scattered throughout Skyrim are all manner of faction couriers. The MCM controls the percentile chance at which they will appear. There are hundreds of courier markers throughout the land. Leaving the default at 10 will do the trick. In this case, we've come upon a Stormcloak courier whom via console I have told not to run. Once his combat AI is restored, he will run. Couriers are lightning fast, but not too inclined to fighting. If they get away from you, they're gone forever, and any advantage you may have gained goes with them. Couriers all have destinations. Some may be on the run when you meet them, some may not. Couriers will often spawn with guards, so be wary. Once you've caught him, although it is not wholly necessary to kill him, it is incredibly satisfying. The death of this particular Stormcloak messenger has presumably impacted the Stormcloak's intelligence, and as such, the Imperials are given an advantage. Once you've searched the dead courier, you'll come upon the important orders he was entrusted with. Reading them will potentially give another faction advantage, in this case, to the Imperials. Which brings us to a perfect time to discuss the advantage system. Throughout Skyrim, there are many ways to gain an advantage. In this instance, we're using the advantage gained by the dead courier and running straight into Whiterun Plains, where we see that the Imperials are surrounded by a cloaking spell. This is their advantage. Eventually, an advantage will expire. The type of advantage is random, and can include an advantage spell which will surround members of the advantage faction, a population boost, or a complete heal. Disadvantaged faction may experience weakness from proximity to an advantaged NPC, or a population decrease. In other words, fewer enemies. Fanatics are the type of person who really take their allegiances seriously, to suicidal extremes. Via the MCM, you can adjust the fanatic spawn percentage. There are fanatics on both the Imperial and Stormcloak sides of the war. In some cases, they will be encouraged by their faction mates, and in others, they will be scorned. But in all cases, their death means instant carnage. They are always found with an explosive barrel on their backs, but not all NPCs with the barrel are fanatics. In every war zone, in every Civil War battle, you may now come across helpless civilians. I put them in because I'm mean-spirited. The MCM will adjust the percentile chance at which they show up. Here, I've upped it to 25% chance in order to illustrate the civilian in a large war zone. I suppose you can consider this an immersion feature. After all, is it not logical that some civilians would be caught in the crossfire? Whoa, photobomb. Within every war zone and Civil War battle, you can now find random spawning reinforcements. In the past, once the initial push was concluded, the battle was basically over. Now, not so much. This setting will determine the maximum amount of reinforcements per faction that will potentially spawn. Swarms primarily appear in the Runevald safe house, one of the 4 strongholds within Warzone's assault attack. This setting is an NPC multiplier which will work in conjunction with the Warzone spawn count. In other words, if you set swarms to 2 and your NPC spawn count is 1, you stand a chance of seeing 2 for each spawn point. Chaos effects display when a siege cannon is active, or for additional immersion within some of the strongholds. When a cannon keeper is alive and a cannon is firing, the surrounding area will have embers and smoke floating around. Setting this to 0 will disable these effects and may improve your performance. A setting of 2 will enable both layers of chaos effects, in this case, smoke and embers. Although not illustrated here, a setting of 1 will remove 1 layer of chaos effect. If your game's performance is negatively impacted, try reducing this setting first. Warzone's archers from both Civil War factions now carry exploding arrows. Randomly placed within their inventory, these exploding arrows have devastating effect, including potentially disarm and fear. In this example, I've killed the Stormcloak archer and will strip him of his remaining explosive arrows. Explosive arrows work with any bow, but since I obviously like things to blow up, I'm going to use my elven bow of fire. Remember to equip your explosive iron arrows, then point, aim, and blow that scumbag off the face of the earth. Although not necessarily one hit, one kill, they will have deadly effect if you're hit by them. The centerpiece of Warzone's assault attack are 4 massive new strongholds, each one larger than the city of Whiterun, and each one containing both exterior and interior locations. Each has a new narrative, new loot, new bosses, and enough challenge to test even the hardiest player's prowess. Telling you more would ruin the fun. Warzone's assault attack, a new incentive for killing the messenger.